So here's how I achieved a goal that I had been procrastinating on for 2 years in just 2 months. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jadesola, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 7 steps that I took that helped me to overcome procrastination on a goal that I had nursed for 2 years, and I ended up achieving it in 2 months. So one of the things I realized about procrastination is that it's a response to a lot of negative things that have not even happened, but we're anticipating would happen. And then as a result, we start to procrastinate so that we end up not feeling that negative emotion in reality, even though we're already feeling it, right? Because that's the reason we're holding back. It's like you're feeling like, oh, if you do this thing, you might fail. And just because of that fear of the possibility of failure, you end up not doing the thing that you want to do, or you keep kicking it down the road in the sense that you feel like if you keep kicking it down the road, then it's never going to happen, right? You would never fail. And that in itself is where the problem lies. That fear of something that we've perceived to be negative that has not even happened, but we think might be the end result of what we're trying to do, then we end up avoiding doing those things altogether. And for me in particular, I realized that a lot of the goals that I procrastinate on, or the things that I procrastinate on, are things that have to do with me, right? If it's something that I'm accountable to other people for, my work, my friends, my family, it's so easy for me to commit to them and just do them. If I have a deadline at work or things to do at work, I know that I have to do them, right? And when it's not for me, I'm like, hey, nobody's checking me. So therefore, I have all the time in the world. I don't need to put myself in a time box. And sometimes we keep telling ourselves things like, take it easy, or you only have one life, so don't stress. We keep trying to validate the reason why we are avoiding to do the things that we're meant to do or the things that we set out to do. But it's simply because of fear of what people would say, fear of not getting it right, fear of what if it doesn't work, fear of so many things that could be a possible outcome of us embarking on the journey or trying to achieve the goal that we've set out to achieve. People have talked about procrastination as a habit, just being in a habit of not wanting to take responsibility, or not wanting to feel negative emotion, or not wanting to take risks. And the truth is, while this is a habit, and for you to be able to change a habit, it takes time. A habit is formed when you keep doing the same thing over and over again, that without even thinking about it, you know how to do it. Your body responds to it. Your mind responds to it. And that's exactly what happens with a habit. But in order to change a habit, you have to do the same thing, in reverse in order to overcome the habit. So I was not thinking that, what do you then do pending the time when you're trying to overcome a habit? There has to be something you can do to still continue to pursue your goals without necessarily creating the habit of overcoming procrastination, if that makes any sense. And that is exactly how I was able to achieve the goal that I was procrastinating on. For 2 years, I spent all my time thinking about it, getting scared of outcomes, of the things that I need to do and everything. And I ended up not doing it. And then I achieved this goal in less than 2 months. So how then did I end up achieving this goal of mine that scared me for 2 years in just 2 months? The first thing I did, as cliche as it may sound, was that I wrote down this goal. In the past, I knew I wanted to do it, but it was never written anywhere. So once in a while, it will come to my mind. But the moment I started to track my goals and I wrote it down that I really want to do this, it stayed in my subconscious. The next thing I do, which is my step 2, was that I realized that I spent the last 2 years really just overthinking the idea of, doing this thing that I never even took the step, and I formed whatever thing I was feeling in my head. I formed it myself. I conjured it in my brain myself with no research. Absolutely nothing was done on my path except me just getting scared about the idea of doing it. So the next step I did was to learn about it, right? I need to learn about this thing in a proper way for me to be able to confirm whether or not it is something that I want to go for or not. And that's exactly what some of us would do. We don't have enough information to even make an informed decision, but we end up creating things in our head without any form of, proof that, oh, it's risky, oh, you might fail, or whatever, because we don't know too much about it. But one of the things that I realized that can easily happen with someone trying to research on something that they're trying to do is that they can easily continue to give themselves the excuse that they're still learning about it. They're still researching about it. So what I did with my research was that I time boxed it. Literally gave myself one day to research about it, to learn about it. You could give yourself 1 week, but you want to time box your learnings around this thing that you want to do. The truth is, whatever you learn about this thing in 1 day, in 1 week, even if you're learning about it 1 year after, it probably wouldn't change the idea of what it takes, how much it would likely cost. Which are the things that you want to research about this thing? What exactly does it entail? What does it take to do this thing? How much does it cost? What are the positives and the negatives, the good, bad, the ugly things around doing these things? But more importantly, which takes me to the third step, is that in my research, after I, did like high level research on, the pros and cons, the positives and negatives of everything that I wanted to do, I decided to try and research a lot of the success stories. Because the reason why we're procrastinating is because we're filled with a lot of negative emotions of what could possibly happen. So focusing more on the positive stories, the success stories, the positive outcomes would help you to start to fill your brain and your mind with the alternative to the fear that you're feeling, right? The feeling of it is possible, it is doable, some people have done it, and these are the things that they did, right? That is not to say that you don't learn about people who have failed at it. You want to also learn about what they learned on their journey and possibly the reasons why they failed. But more of your focus should be on the positive stories, the things that people did right, and their success stories, to encourage yourself and dilute all the negative thinking around this goal and possible failures or whatever fear that you have around it. So the next thing I did, which is my fourth step, was to create a journey map on the steps that I need to take in order to achieve this. And just seeing the journey, the step-by-step process or activities of the things that I need to do in order to achieve this goal made the goal look more achievable to me, right? I started to really see the places where I think maybe I need to do more here. This is the step that is probably going to stress me the most out of everything. Oh, this is the easy one, because I was able to visualize the whole journey of getting to this goal, right? And just being able to see that, I went on to the next step, right? Which is identifying 2 key points on the journey map. The first one is, what's the first step that I need to take, right? And the second one is, where is the point of no return? And the point of no return is very key, because that is the stage that you know that if I take this step, the only place I can move is forward. I can only move forward after this. I can't go back at this point. This point, there's nothing else I can do. I have to commit to achieving this goal. So the next thing that you want to do after identifying the first step and the point of no return is to encourage yourself to take the first step. You have to take the first step. The first step is the hardest step. So after I took the first step, I knew I had done the hardest thing. Like the hardest thing was just getting started. And the next thing I did was to commit to the point of no return. Like that stage, I knew there was no going back. And commitment to your point of no return could mean different things to you. It could mean that, hey, you know what? You're paying for the exam, which means that you're now forced to study. It could mean that you're picking up that phone to call that person and you're not hanging up. It could mean getting on the plane to go skydiving, and you know that the only way down is to jump out of the plane. Whatever point of no return you have identified on your journey to achieving the goal, you need to commit to it. The moment you commit to it, every other thing now looks like you have to do it. Me committing to my point of no return put me in the same mindset of the way I normally would feel when I have to do things for other people, for my employer, for my friends, where I feel like I have to do this now, right? And that was exactly what I did, from just writing down the goal, making sure that I learn about it. I time boxed it to 1 day. You could be time boxing yours to 1 week, 2 weeks, but you need to give it a specific time. Otherwise, you will just stretch it out. And I focused more on learning about the success stories or the people that went through the same thing that I was just about to go through. And I learned more about the things that they did, around the things that helped them to be successful. And then I created my own journey map, right? Identified my first step and my point of no return, and then ended up taking my first step and then committing to my point of no return. And if you can take these 7 steps, I believe that on your journey to really creating a habit of not procrastinating on things that you set out to do, that you can still continue to achieve these goals. And I hope that you've learned something from my own experience. I'd like to hear how you deal with procrastination, because it is something that we all go through, and sometimes it's when the stakes are really high that we start to really procrastinate. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure you like this video, share with your loved ones, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do, and then I will see you next time. Bye.